so different. Good morning, my beautiful people. Thank you so much for choosing to spend another day and choosing to tune into another episode of We Are Not So Different. This morning's guest, we have Miss Kimberlee Plezia with us. Good morning, Miss Kimberly. How you doing?
I am good. How are you?
I am great, fantastic, and terrific. Thank you so much for coming on. I know you're a busy lady. You got multiple stuff going on, but we're gonna hop into all that.
Love it.
Yes. So ladies and gents, you know the drill. Find your favorite spot on the couch, get your favorite drink, whether that's Kool-Aid or Cavassier, and settle into this conversation. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background about Miss Kimberly so you know that she's certified and she's got the receipts to prove it. Okay. So Miss Kimberlee Plezia is a certified life coach and podcaster from Colorado Springs. As a childhood sexual abuse survivor and recovered drug addict, Kimberly spent most of her life hating herself and her body. She has now dedicated her business to helping others to know their worth, yes, ma'am, and love themselves in the body that they are in. She is a fat awareness and acceptance advocate determined to make a difference in how fat bodies are viewed. On a more personal note, Kimberly is a wife, mother, and proud grandmother. I know that's right. I talk about them grandbabies. Yes.
Yes.
All right, Miss Kim. So, Kimberly, sorry. All my guests get the same. Okay, good. All my guests get the same questions. So we're gonna start you off. You don't get no special treatments. 2 questions. First one being, if you had the undivided attention of an audience of your choosing, who would said audience be and what would you tell them?
That is tough.
Okay.
Because it depends on what way we're going. I mean, if we're being professional or if we're being personal, if we're getting stuff off our chest.
Whatever comes to your heart, girl. If you want to get something off your chest, do it. This is a safe place.
You know, I'm going to answer this question twofold. The first one would be my mother. She's gone and she got to see me get clean and sober, but she never got to see me grow into my purpose.
Okay.
And I would love the opportunity to sit down with her and talk about being a grandmother and talk about what I'm doing now and find out if she's proud of where I'm at. I also, honestly, I would love, and this is going to sound almost morbid, but I would love the chance to sit down with my stepfather and ask him why he did the things that he did to me. Because I never got those answers. I got the chance to express how I felt to his dead body, but I never actually was told by him why he put me through what he put me through.
Okay. I don't think that's morbid. I think that's somebody in want of, I would say closure, but I feel like you're really good into the healing process. So you have, a certain level of closure, but I don't think that's morbid.
I want to know why.
Right.
And that's a question that has plagued me since I was 7 years old.
Okay. So we're going to dig into that if you're comfortable in just a few
definitely.
minutes. Okay, awesome. So question number 2, if you had the chance to speak to a younger version of yourself, let's say little 5 or 6 year old Kimberly, what do you think she would need to hear?
That regardless of anything that she's going to go through, that she is worth loving. and that she is beautiful, regardless of what she looks like.
Yes, I love that. So I love always hearing the answers that my guests give to those questions, because it's like a lot of the times those are some of the very things that we need to hear now as an adults. And then for the little ones that are listening, go ahead and tell yourself this now. So that
Yes.
way, when you are coming up on our age, you're like, you know what? At least I had the opportunity to love myself, you know what I'm saying, a little bit better. So yeah, I love
Exactly.
Thank you for sharing.
Of
So
course.
if I was watching, I would want to know why you have on an oxygen, thingy. So we're gonna go ahead and get that out the way.
Yes. So in November, early November, I caught COVID. Got the Delta variant. My husband and I both had it at the same time. He bounced back wonderfully. I did not. And a lot of that has to do with choices that I made in my past. You've already touched on it a little bit. I am a recovered drug addict. I spent 8 years using and did a lot of damage to my own immune system in that process. COVID ended up sending me into respiratory failure. I was very lucky I didn't end up hospitalized, but I have not been able to return to work since getting it. Wow. Because I cannot speak for extended periods of time. I can go maybe 45 minutes to an hour before my voice will really start cutting out on me.
Oh, wow.
So I am on full-time oxygen indefinitely. We don't know when I'll be able to go off the oxygen. We don't know when I'll be returning to work. It's all a whole bunch of unknowns.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing, because I will be mindful to keep this to that 45-minute mark. I don't want to stress your body out any more than it already is. So let's hop in, shall we? This episode is about all things fat, all things plus size.
Love it.
I know that you have multiple podcasts that pertain to this. And not only the fact that you have a background in it, like you're an advocate, I love, because I feel like I have so much to say. Because I am plus size myself, I feel like I can talk about these kind of things, but I never really realized the need for advocacy for what I have been for, like, I think I came out, So I didn't realize that I needed advocacy for something that was just part of my normal everyday experience. So first of all, tell us all about your podcast. I love the names, and I love the fact that you're an advocate for our size, our fluffy friends, men and women, by the way. Y'all know I love my babies. So yes, tell us about your podcast, girl.
So right now I am the host of 3 podcasts. The first one is called This Fat Girl Life.
This Fat Girl.
It's all about knowing your worth and loving yourself in your own body. And I really hone in on the your own body part, simply because we're not always born into the bodies that we should be in. There are so many people who are going through transition, who are, whether it's even same-sex transition and figuring out who they are, or if they're transitioning male to female, female to male, etc. That you have to, it's a process. And it's about learning to love yourself in your body, the body you are meant to be in. Mm-hmm. And so that is the focus of This Fat Girl Life. The second podcast is called The Rope of Hope. And that one was born from an interview that I saw with Robin Roberts. And she was talking about how her grandmother, when she was younger, used to always tell her, you have to hold on to hope. This was during the pandemic, at the start of the pandemic. And it really resonated with me, because in this time of everything being very unknown, mm-hmm. hope is our constant. And so that's what I wanted to do with that podcast. My third podcast is Big Beautiful Badasses, which you have actually been a guest on.
Yes.
And it is about celebrating the plus size community. I feel like, we are a marginalized community. We, especially as fat women, are, rather be seen and not heard. And, when push comes to shove, there are a lot of people who'd rather not see us to begin with. And I've gotten to the point where I call BS on it. And I'm going to, make sure I don't use language because I don't know.
You're fine. You're okay, free. Fine. You're free.
Good. Then I call bullshit
all right
on the whole thing. And I want to throw plus size men and women out into the forefront. Statistically, we are the majority.
Girl, I didn't know that. You dropping knowledge on me today. Okay.
If you are over a size 14, you are considered plus size.
14?
14 is considered plus size.
Wow.
That is the majority. That is almost 67% of men and women in the United States alone. That doesn't even include other countries.
Wow.
So if we are the majority, why are we being marginalized?
That's a good question.
And so I am trying to make a change.
Yes, girl. Because I ain't even gonna talk about my size. I'm far from a 14, but if I could get down to a 14 and then someone had the audacity to call me plus size, I might feel some kind of way. But yes, I had no idea. I guess I think of it now because, when you go to the doctor and they'll say, well, this size is like the normal. And I'm like, but that's little bitty. And quite honestly, everyone's frame is not made to be little bitty. It's just not.
Exactly.
It's just
exactly.
Not. Okay. So I'm loving all the podcasts. I don't know how you keep it up, girlfriend, because I got one and it's chasing me down. So for you to have
girl, it took some time to figure out how to streamline everything. And I've gotten myself into a pretty good groove of like Mondays is my day off. Tuesday, I do all my social media, posts. I create all of them and schedule them. And that gives me time to, Wednesday, I contact guests 2 weeks out for media releases, etc. And I have a very strict schedule that I have to follow. That is the only way it happens.
I want to be like you when I grow up because I feel like I am so not there, but I want to be.
It took some work.
All things big and beautiful. I love the podcast. So can you give me some ideas or examples of how you, including the podcast, how you advocate? Like one thing you said that really struck me, you was like, I want to put all plus size men and women, I want to push them to the forefront. Yes, Hunty, especially if we are the majority. So what does that look like for you?
So for me, what that is, I am very vocal on social media in so many different plus size groups of encouraging men and women to really love themselves. I've created guided journals to help people, really focus on, learning to accept their own bodies. Because once we accept our own body, it's easier to accept somebody else's. A lot of those struggles are actually very internal. And so it becomes a matter of accepting ourselves before we can accept somebody else. Learning to love ourselves before we can love somebody else properly. And so, I do guided journals like that. I have a couple other things that are in the works that we'll talk about as well. But I also have really made some amazing connections through this process of other people who are more on the forefront than even I am. That I'm able to kind of join with what they're doing, or even just promote more of what they're doing, to get that message out there. Because I guess I feel like it doesn't matter to me who the message comes from, as long as the message is getting out there.
Right. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I'll already say, just from the little bit that you shared, it feels good to know that there are people out there advocating for people that look like me. I think about there's like a whole world, like my skinty people and my petite people. If y'all have friends that are plus size and fluffy and voluptuous and all that good stuff, there's a whole world that you are simply unaware of. And it's not because it's like you're a negative or anything like that. It's just that things that you don't have to consider. Like for instance, when we go to restaurants, which I don't do now because COVID is real, but you'd have to consider my chair. Does it have sides on the sides? Is it going to squeeze my hips? Or is it one of those plastic chairs? I don't feel safe. I'm not sitting.
Or even worse, like my husband and I were talking the other day about where we're going to go for my birthday dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I really kind of want to go to this restaurant, but I ain't sitting in that booth. Because the table is stationary, the benches are stationary, none of it moved, and I'm getting cut in half.
Girl,
to try to squeeze my big booty in there.
Ain't nobody trying to eat like for the whole meal. You're right. And simple stuff like that, like people don't, unless you're basically part of that life, you don't think about it. You don't have to consider it. So I'm glad that there is a group of people that are advocating and are pushing these issues forward to the forefront so people can be aware at the very least. And hopefully once they become aware, maybe they're more empathetic towards our rights. But as an adult, like I said, it feels good to know that there are people out there advocating. I think about when I was younger, like I don't remember seeing as much, if I'll use the word representation, growing up for people like that look like me. I mean, now we have, plus size models, and that's what they're called, not just models, plus size models. And they're of the more curvy hourglass figure. Baby, I got a gut. I'm not an hourglass. So it's important to be able to see that representation. But when I was little, I don't remember seeing stuff like that. And I was going to ask if that is something that you remember.
It didn't exist.
Oh, yeah.
It really didn't exist. There were a couple, men and women that, and it was a lot. There were a lot more men than women. Mm-hmm. Mama Cass from the Mamas and the Papas, she was plus size. Mm. So you had her. You had a couple men and women. Nell Carter is another one.
Oh, yes, I remember her.
She was there, but it was very few and far between. It was not mainstream, and even today, it's not as mainstream as it should be.
Okay. Especially if we are the majority. Yes, ma'am.
Exactly. I mean, you look at even movies and television, very rarely do you see a plus size woman as the true love interest lead without there being some sort of comedic spin on it. Like it's a joke. And that's not to say you shouldn't watch movies like that. Right. I'm not even gonna lie, I love me some Fat Amy. From Pitch Perfect, love Fat Amy. But again, there was that comedic spin on it. She couldn't just be interested in a guy and just be appreciated because she could sing or whatever. There had to be comedy with it. Medea, there has to be comedy with it. It can't be, let's actually learn something from this character. So it's still not as represented as it should be. Yes, we do have the Lizzos and people like that as well. And I love me some Lizzo.
Me too.
Not even gonna lie. Love that woman. But there needs to be more. There really needs to be more.
Agreed. So I know one of the things you said that you would tell your younger self that you are loved and you're worthy. I wonder, only because I wonder this about myself, so I wonder, and I'll ask about you. Well, were you always plus size? Were you little bitty when you were little, or?
So I remember that, and I can't even say I really remember it a whole lot because, unfortunately, with trauma that I did go through in my childhood, I don't have a lot of memories of my childhood.
Okay.
But there are are pictures that show, when I was in kindergarten, I was very straight sized.
Okay.
When everything started happening with my stepfather, I think food became a self-defense mechanism for me. I think, at that time I didn't, I don't think I mentally was aware of what I was doing, but it was one of those things of, if I can make myself bigger, maybe this won't happen.
Oh.
And then as I, tried to move past that event, I never really got healing as a child, as a teenager. And it wasn't for lack of trying. It just didn't connect with me. So food became comfort for me. And so from that age of 7, 8 years old and forward, I've always been big. And it took a really long time, honestly, 36 years for me to get to a point of really loving my body and loving who I am in this body.
Yeah. So what do you think was the catalyst, or maybe you had an epiphany? What do you think that thing was that started that whole, you said it took 36 years, and I get that. I wholeheartedly get that. But what do you think what was that thing that tipped the balances, so to speak, that made you cross over from this part of not necessarily feeling myself to, you know what? I'm dope. I'm a pretty cool chick.
I know exactly where it happened. When I went into rehab, it was a faith-based program. It was a residential program across the state from where I live. I'm in Colorado Springs. I was clear over by Utah. I knew nobody. I didn't know anybody in the program. I didn't know any of the women that I was in the program with, any of the instructors, any of the staff. No, I knew nobody. I was like on an island alone.
Okay.
But I started, building these relationships with these women. And these women loved me without anything in return.
Yes.
There was nothing that they had to gain from it. It was just an unconditional love. And that's not to say I didn't receive that unconditional love from my family or whatever.
Sure.
But there was something different about it that struck a chord. And that's when I really started, realizing that I was worth loving. I was worth more than I was giving myself credit for. And so when I came back to the Springs, from rehab, that's when I was like, you know what? I've got to do something with this. I can't just hold this in. This made a change in me. I need to share this because there are too many women that are struggling with this. And so that's kind of what started me on this journey that I'm on now.
Wow. Wow. I don't know if you're a believer, but I'll say what I'm going to say. I love how God will use everything. And I tell my friends, I know they probably get sick of me saying it, but he uses everything. Sometimes some of our most embarrassing or lowest moments are the things that will draw others, like, to get to know that love, to get to know that they are worthy. So it's like, that's why I love doing what I'm doing. Like, I love talking to people, like, because social media gives us such like this false sense of bravado. Man, look, life ain't glitz and glam, and it's not all cute Facebook pictures. People live lives, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes they're grimy, and sometimes they're, low, and sometimes they're whatever, but it's life and it happens. And why come we can't talk about it? Sorry.
No, girl, I feel you 100%. And I got asked a question on social media today. I was talking with somebody and they're like, if you could go back and change what you went through, would you? And it kind of caught me off guard. But when push comes to shove, I wouldn't. As do I want to go through those experiences again? No, 100% hell no.
Right.
But had I not gone through that, I would not have the mission that I have today to affect change the way I want
Yes, you better come on, girl, and tell it, doggone it. Okay. So I know one thing that you mentioned earlier when you tapped on a little bit, I would like to tap back into. You have some things coming down the pipeline, you say.
Yes, I do. I am actually in the process of writing my first book. It is
Ooh,
called I Am a Liar and So Are You. And it's about
just like
lies that
that.
we it's about the lies that we tell ourselves.
Okay.
Especially as women, we beat ourselves up
Yes, we do.
constantly. And we tell ourselves, I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not worthy of this.
Mm.
And so that's what I'm kind of focusing on. I've 8 to 10 different lies, and I'm going through and I'm tackling each one. Tell ourselves these things. I'm sharing my own personal experiences with that specific lie because I've told myself every single one of them.
Yeah.
And then I also have a small panel of women that I have reached out to and gotten their feedback. And so some of that feedback will be shared in the book as well.
Awesome.
I'm hoping midsummer to fall to be able to have that released.
Okay. Well, I want to be part of anything I can do to help market this book. If you need publication, if you want to come back on and we are not so different and talk about it, look, because you're right. You're absolutely right. I tell people all the time, like, no one will ever be harder on me than I am on myself. So you ain't never lied. We beat up on ourselves, and I'm not just talking about the girls. I'm speaking like a girl because I am one, but I'm sure there are dudes that do that too. I'm sure there are men that do it.
Oh,
Like,
100%. My husband and I were just talking about it last night. And he even commented on the fact that, men do the exact same thing. I was like, I can't really speak to it from a male perspective.
right.
But honey, there's a book for you to market here.
Hey.
let's do this.
I'm thinking, and you men, y'all can feel free to hit me in my DMs or comment or whatever, but it's like, I know that it's not like socially acceptable in some circumstances, in some circles, for men to be able to communicate that kind of thing, because they have to be tough and they have to be manly and all that stuff. So to be able to like be vulnerable enough to communicate that they are struggling with something, or like I'm beating myself up to the point where it might be impacting my mental health or my attitude, like I can't imagine not being able to have a space where they
There is
can.
nothing sexier than a man that can be vulnerable.
Girl, who you telling, baby? I hope y'all listening. Listen, men, are you listening? We dropping pearls of wisdom for y'all.
But I also have a couple new podcasts in the work as well.
You got some, girl, hold on. Oh, because I don't know if you saw the smoke coming from my ears. Did you say you have a couple of new podcasts that you're working on?
Yes.
Ma'am, do you sleep? Do you sleep?
I do. I'm working on one that is similar to a book club, but with movies and TV. I really want to focus on, some of the movies and TV shows that are showcasing body positivity and,
Okay.
showcasing some of those things and have open discussions about them on things that we as fat women like, things that we don't like,
Okay.
and try to get that message out there even more of, let's really support these bodies.
Yes.
And then
So,
I just want to do one that is fun and has absolutely nothing to do with anything else.
okay.
That's just going to be the random show and have an online game of truth or dare.
Oh, so I'm gonna apologize in advance. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but that's my dog snoring. Gamora, she must have had a very hard day, because when I say she cutting wood over there, she is lumberjack Gamora. So I apologize, and I won't edit that out because that's live. So
I got 2 dogs. I've been praying this whole time that they don't go crazy.
If they do, my listeners, they understand this is life. I've even had like babies like on laps of mamas because they just wouldn't. So it's life. This is life.
It happens.
So you said the one with the book club one, and then the one random one. Do you have names for the both of them?
So the movie club is going to be a fat perspective.
Oh, come on,
And
girl.
it's just that's what it's going to be, is the perspective of a fat person
Yeah.
or multiple fat people.
Okay.
And then the other one I don't really have a name for. I am leaning more towards just the random show.
Okay.
And just have it as a random game of 20 questions or a random game of truth or dare.
Oh my goodness.
Just have like a little randomizer wheel to pick the game and just be
Go
stupid.
for it. Oh my gosh.
I think we need those moments of decompression
Yeah.
to just be stupid and not think about anything.
Yes. Yes. Like white noise. It's
Exactly.
soothing time. You know what? I love,
Exactly.
love, like even in this is your way of advocacy, talking about like our issues and making podcasts and making spaces for people to learn and for people to discuss and for people to do all that good stuff, man. You're doing the Lord's work, honey. And I just want to say thank you. Now, what I will say also, ma'am, you remember that show Small Wonder? About the little
Vaguely.
girl Vicky, and she was a robot,
Vicky
but she was
the
a child.
robot. I do remember that.
Girl, look, and there's this one spot every time and you hit on the top of her head, that's the reset button. I feel like you're gonna need a reset button because 3 + 2, that's 5 podcasts, and you're working on a doggone book. When are you going to sleep, my love? When?
Well, my husband and I are actually in the process of trying to save some money to take a trip. We want to take a couple trips this year.
Okay.
We're hoping to go back out to Vegas because I love me some Vegas.
Okay.
Not even gonna lie, I absolutely love Vegas.
Okay.
But we also want to go down to Galveston this year.
Okay. Okay. Well,
So
I
yeah,
hope
if
that you
anybody
get
wants to, contribute to the Kim self-care fund, feel free.
Yeah, you know what? I know it's not a Kim self-care fund, but you do have a buy me coffee. I thought
Yes,
that was
I
an
do.
ingenious idea. I don't even drink coffee, but I was like, I like that because it's a good way to be able to interact and get engagement with your audience. So for now, I want you to tell my people where they can find you. I've been eyeballing this time because I don't want to stress out your system. 30 to 45 minutes, that's what I'm sticking to that. So I want you to tell my audience where they can find you. And and I want you to take your time because you have a lot. So give us websites, give us emails, give us all that good stuff.
I am all over social media, Facebook. You can search the name of any of my podcasts, This Fat Girl Life, The Rope of Hope podcast, or Big Beautiful Badasses. That will take you to any of those business pages. My Instagram is all centered under one. It's Kimberlee_Plezia. And Kimberly is with 2 E's. Is Kim.Plezia. Same with my LinkedIn. So I can be found on any of those. And since we did bring it up, you can also go to buymeacoffee.com/this fat girl life. There you can follow me, no charge to follow. You get to find out all the information about upcoming guests, upcoming projects. That's usually where I post stuff first. And if you are a member, if you sign up as a member, it's like $5 a month to be a member, and you get access to my guided journals free of charge.
Ooh, we love freebies. I'm just saying. Oh my gosh. I feel like I could talk to you about like so much more, like all the stuff, like clothing. Oh my gosh, dating. Oh my gosh, like
I know. I need to have you back on my show again.
Oh my gosh, I'm there. Name the time, place.
I just launched season 2, girl. Hit me up after this and I'll get you the calendar. Let's get you back on.
Yes, because there's so much more. I feel armed with some truth now. Like I don't know why I didn't consider it. Like I didn't know that we are the majority. Like, and now I feel like I feel different. Like I feel
it's empowering knowing that. Like it's empowering, but there's also like a righteous anger that comes with it of why are we treated the way we are then?
Yes,
you
ma'am.
know, and so that I think that's probably what it really kind of pushed me forward, of that little bit of righteous anger with the empowerment.
Question. If we are the majority, then why do we have to go to certain spots for plus size clothes as opposed to plus size clothes that's not being readily available wherever we shop?
Because so many different areas of culture, be it within the education system, even within the medical system, they're taught in their training that fat is not where it's at, basically. They're taught, to cater to a certain size. And that's why you have so much fat phobia in the fashion industry and the medical industry. And it is an industry. Medicine is an industry, but that's why you have so much rampant fat phobia. And, it even can be going down to racial stigmas. The entire body positivity movement, the fat awareness movement, this was originally started, way back by fat Black women who were shut down because people didn't want to hear it from them.
Wow.
And this is, one of those areas where, there's a whole lot of privilege out there. There's thin privilege, there's white privilege, etc. I've got a little bit of white privilege. I'm going to use it. And if that means stepping on some toes of some industries to get the message out there, then that's what I'm going to do. And I give full credit to the women who have gone before, who have really pushed this forward. Saucy West is a huge one. That woman does so much and has had so many people try to silence her.
Wow.
And I give her full credit for everything that she's doing. I'm riding on her coattails. That's all I'm along for the ride. I'm doing what I can, but I have a voice. I have a platform that can be used. And so that's what I want to do.
Well, I even thank you for being cognizant of the fact that you possess a certain level of privilege and your voice might be more accepted than someone of a more melanated complexion. So thank you for even being willing to be that voice and necessarily step on toes if you gotta. You are
I have no problems doing it. My filter is not very big. And
that's right.
I've never had a problem expressing my opinions, right, wrong, or otherwise. And if I could do some good with my big mouth, I will.
Yes, honey. I love it. Oh my gosh. Yes, Kim. Kimberly, I'm sorry. I really appreciate having you on. I feel like I've learned a lot just from this conversation that we had. And now that I am armed with a little bit more truth, I have questions. Doggone it. I got questions. I need answers. So yes, I look forward to chatting with you again on one of your many podcasts. And I pray that God will bless you with healing so that you'll be able to continue to use this format for the benefit of others. And God bless your ministry. So, my babies, this is it. I want you to do something nice for yourself. I know I say this a lot because it's true. I mean, you deserve it. So, I mean, you have a whole week. You have until next Saturday. Go get you some ice cream. I don't know if that's your thing. Get your nails done, get your toes done, get a massage. If you could do it with a beard, get a fresh cut. I don't know, whatever it is that makes you feel good, do it. And then come into my DMs and let me know what you're doing to love on yourself this week, baby, because you deserve it. So until next
I could already share my self-care.
I'm listening.
I'm getting my nails done and getting a pedicure tomorrow.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Why not?
That's my birthday gift.
Wait, when's your birthday?
Monday.
Happy birthday, love.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Well, until next time, ladies and gents. I love y'all. Be good to yourself.
We are not
so different.